So I managed to be in the dentist chair Tuesday morning and miss the group meeting, but did not stop me from doing the casework. I'd done the case study and actually not very interesting. My problem was I was intrigued by the more so, well, at least that's being studying the case now, but I was intrigued by like what happened and what people thought. So I was out searching other sources about it. But to overview of the case from start to finish, you see a I guess you call it a company, NASA. It's kind of like learning from the bottom up on like prototypes. I mean, they didn't know what was going on, so they'd have to experience people cost lives. I mean, like risky stuff at first, which was somewhat fine. I think that's okay. But when you get 50 years later, you're still willing to take risks for human life, there's something wrong with your recording skill. Like something's not keeping track of your testing. So ultimately, it led to people becoming ignorant to issues and not being concerned about human life. That became not a big deal. That became more important as I think it was a $26 million project, and it cost $1 million plus every time they launched it. If that's what it said, I think, yeah. So I think they became more worried about their amounts they spent to launch it and budgets. And I don't think it's fair to say that because budget was crunched down, that's the reason it happened. That's baloney in my opinion, because your budget gets crunched, blame it on those people funding you. No, it's the people in management. If you need to let people go that aren't assets, let them go. If the person that's not in charge of those tiles and creating a better prototype or fixing them is not part of it, let them go, because clearly there's people sitting around doing nothing. There's no doubt in my mind. This is a type of company being government funded that has hundreds of employees that are not needed. And that's the fact. It's just the way it is in this situation. So wean out the ones you don't need so your budget is stronger. Don't put yourself in timeline crunches that are going to affect you. And if you are in timeline crunches, get better management, better project managers. Because if you look at all the ones in charge and they got let known about issues, they would just brush them under the rug and say, oh, it's fine. Our risk is fine. And that you keep seeing that because they want to hit dates and please people. And it's a race and all these things. So everybody involved needed to slow down or need to extend due dates as far as when they want to launch. And how sad is it? I mean, to study this and realize those guys were back home and literally disintegrated up in the sky. Like they're so close to being home, being gone for 17 days from their families, years of training. Kind of surprised me though. It was a 30-year-old rocket. It seems a little out of date, personally. Again, so a lot of stupid business decisions. I mean, I don't think you can pinpoint one area that necessarily resulted in this mess. I think there was so many. And I watched in the video of the group, the 6 of them. We got James, April, Shannon, Braxton, Susan. Watching my group, they had a great discussion, and a lot of it I think referred back to, well, there was no management in charge, no one took control, which is a big part of it. I mean, but there was so much more I think that came down to it as far as the ideas behind this project. What was the goal in the end? I mean, I've always found it interesting is this company, and I don't understand NASA. They're funded by the government and they help with research and spying on shiz and all that stuff. But when a company doesn't have to balance sales to expenses or anything, I don't think it's really ran like a business should be, unless those people that are in that position have ran a business and balanced things, because they look at it as it's funded, we get more funding. Doesn't matter what kind of success rate we have. If it blows up, if this is wrong, no one cares. We'll just get refunded next year. So I think there's a lack of ownership to those situations. Some things that needed to change, no doubt. A better command and control, punishments, as serious as murder charges or first degree murder, second degree murder, that they call when you know of something, you don't stop it. I don't understand those things, but things that people can be reliable and held accountable for if they fail to use the protocols that were in place, because they had them to protect them and they were skipped over and ignored to meet someone's personal agenda ultimately. So I think having serious consequences, when you put that type of pressure on people, instead of just tell your astronauts, oh, this could risk your life, but your heroes, I mean, try and build it up. That's not right. That's not right for any of them. So consequences to these actions, chain of command, and the culture within, I mean, which is part of consequence, action, all the chain of commands, all part of culture. So it just needs a revamp of culture, environment, management, and get back on track to what they're good at. And that's being successful and having successful missions. If that means getting rid of an old rocket and making a new one, that's what you do. Don't send people's lives in this freaking universe that can blow up and you know it. So, and in my last point of view, I guess clear the front. When the tile fell and they were trying to take video of it and wanted to see it and tell the astronauts, I think they did the right thing. You can't tell a group of people out you're on your way to space, but you might not make it back when you come back through because it's broke. Now, I think the way that took 4 or 5 days to determine that was, again, BS. I think they recognized it and anybody felt like it was a problem. I feel like this ship probably could have turned around and come back. I don't know how that works. So that should have been done like that, and they should have been back on the ground. And then after they failed to do that, it was right not to tell them until they never told them from I could tell that was right. If you missed the opportunity to bring them home, don't stress and do that to a group of people. But that's kind of my gist of it. It's a good case study. Yeah, that's it.